Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya narang chaiva narottamam devam saraswatam vyasam tato jayam udirayet nasta prayeshu abhadreshu nityang bhagavata sevaya bhagavat uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. Hare Krishna. So today we're reading Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 13, Brahma stealing the boys and calves. Had some beautiful classes, stressing how this was the final chapter. Srila Prabhupada was translating with crystal clarity and enthusiasm despite the difficult situation of preparing to leave to go back home to be with the cowherd boys. Text 52. aṇimādyair mahimabhir ajā-ādyābhir vibhūtibhiḥ catur-viṁśatibhis tattvaiḥ parītā mahad-ādibhiḥ aṇimā-ādyaiḥ, headed by aṇimā, mahimabhir, by opulences, ajā-ādyābhir, headed by ajā, vibhūtibhiḥ, by potencies, catuḥ-viṁśatibhis, 24 in number, tattvaiḥ, by elements for the creation of the material world, parītāḥ, all the viṣṇu-mūrtis were surrounded, mahad-ādibhiḥ, headed by the mahat-tattva. Translation, purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. All the viṣṇu-mūrtis were surrounded by the opulences headed by aṇimā-siddhi, by the mystic potencies headed by ajā, and by the 24 elements for the creation of the material world, headed by the mahat-tattva. Responsively, all the viṣṇu-mūrtis were surrounded by the opulences, headed by aṇimā-siddhi, by the mystic potencies, headed by ajā, and by the 24 elements for the creation of the material world, headed by the mahat-tattva. Srila Prabhupada's purport. In this verse, the word mahimabhir means aişvarya or opulence. The Supreme Personality of Godhead can do whatever He likes. That is His aişvarya. No one can command Him, but He can command everyone. Sad-aiśvarya-pūrṇam. The Lord is full in 6 opulences. The yoga-siddhis, the perfections of yoga, such as the ability to become smaller than the smallest, aṇimā-siddhi, or bigger than the biggest, mahimā-siddhi. Our President, Lord Viṣṇu, Sad-aiśvarya-pūrṇam ya iha bhagavān. The word ajā means maya, or mystic power. Everything mysterious is in full existence in Viṣṇu. The 24 elements mentioned are the 5 working senses, Panca karmendriya, the 5 senses for obtaining knowledge, Panca jnanendriya, the 5 gross material elements, Panca mahabhūta, the 5 sense objects, Panca tanmatra, the mind, manas, the false ego, ahankara, the mahat-tattva and material nature, prakriti. All 24 of these elements are employed for the manifestation of this material world. The mahat-tattva is divided into different subtle categories, but originally it is called the mahat-tattva. Om jnanatimirandasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurun militam jena tasmai shri guruve namaha Shri Chaitanya manobhishtam sthapitam jena bhutale swayam rupa kadamayam didati svapadantikam Namaom Viṣṇupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschacha Deshatarane Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So Krishna's exhibiting his mystic opulences, potencies, parasya shaktir vividhaiva shruyate. Everything is manifested in the spiritual world by his potency and expansions, and also in this material world, he provides, just like the good government has to provide a prison house for the criminals. So all of us in this material world, somehow or other, have left our home in the spiritual kingdom. And the Supreme Lord continuously appears in various incarnations. Specifically, only 5,000 years ago, Krishna appeared, Krishna and Balaram. They appeared to show the conditioned souls who are suffering in this material world how to behave so they can reawaken their forgotten relationship with Krishna. We've forgotten our relationship with Krishna and our loving sporting activity. So we're hearing from the very beginning of this chapter when Parikshit Maharaj is asking from Shukadeva Goswami more specifically about the Lord's pastimes and unique exhibition of mystic powers. And Shukadeva Goswami was praising him that only a very one who's advancing in Krishna consciousness relishes to hear more and more about the Lord's pastimes. What to speak of our limited understanding, but Parikshit Maharaj was very enthusiastic to hear more. And specifically here, we're hearing how the Supreme Lord was having loving exchanges with all his cowherd boys. It's said that all of these cowherd boys and residents of Vrindavan, many of them performed great pious activities for a long, long time. And many also came from the spiritual kingdom. We can't try to equate everything with our logic and reason and try to make it all fit together with our limited understanding. But somehow the Lord had revealed to those who have performed the austerities and sacrifices and performed the duties to get free from the coverings of this mahat-tattva, the maya, the mind, the senses, and the ego. The senses are working, always looking for gratification. The mind, the mastermind. In criminal series, they say the mastermind behind the plot. So the mind facilitates all the satisfaction of the senses, and the intelligence, when it's contaminated by the material world, is thinking in a different way, the false ego, because we've developed a conception of who we are and what we are. So all the cowherd boys have very unique characteristics. They had very unique behavior and patterns. So Lord Brahma, being a nitya-siddha, or not necessarily nitya-siddha, but a pure devotee, a mahajana, we sometimes think how he can make that kind of mistake to think maybe Krishna's not really there. He's only a cowherd boy. Let me show my mystic power too. Just like Krishna, in one sense, bewildered Arjuna, so that Arjuna can get emotional on the bodily platform, exhibit, the sense of family, nation, love, and the things which are keeping us bound in this material world. But then Krishna shows what is real family, or what is real relationships, how he's laughing and playing with all the boys. They all have their lunches. As Mother Devi Shakti said, they were exchanging their varieties of food, and Krishna was cutting a lot of jokes. They all were having fun together, having joking, fun relationships. And then we'll see further and further as Krishna unfolds his Leela. Just like Balaram, obviously he's an expansion of Krishna. Srimati Radharani is an expansion of Krishna. All the Viṣṇu forms in the Vaikunthas are expansions of Krishna. We are also expansion of Krishna, but there's different categories. So Balaram, you would think that how would he be confused for a whole year, not know that Krishna performed this amazing activity when Brahma, who was bewildered by Krishna and allowed to think that he took the cowherd boys and the calves, and then Krishna, just to exhibit his power, manifested himself in so many forms, and each one looking and working and acting exactly like, I wouldn't know it if like Shruta was not himself. If Krishna expanded himself, then the mothers were loving their own children even more, because in their minds, all the gopis, elderly gopis, were thinking, if my child was Krishna, like Mother Yashoda, I would also do the same way, with so much love and care and attention. Not that they didn't love their children, they loved their children very much, but that attraction for Krishna is the topmost and magnified. So we're hearing how the elderly gopis were extremely blissful, and Krishna was very happy to reciprocate with them with love, because the mothers were taking such care of their young boys, bathing them, feeding them, dressing them nicely, giving them breast milk, even at 5 years old, the tradition. And Krishna was taking it like nectar. This is such nectar. And he was blissful, they were blissful, all the cows were blissful, because they were seeing, even though they had baby calves, even they were a little bit older calves, they normally stopped taking the milk of the cow, but they were showing such love and affection, because Krishna, as a super soul, is in everyone's heart, but his personal manifestation was extremely attractive for the inhabitants of Vrindavan in particular. And we're reading in Krishna book so many pastimes of Krishna. Was it Mitravinda, the 7 bulls? Was that Mitravinda? When the king said that he, in order for this marriage ceremony. Whoever the prince is that can control these 7 bulls can marry my beautiful princess daughter, Mitravinda. And so, Gaurnitai Krishna Balaram Lita Vishaka Jaya Radhe Sham. So Krishna was also trying to convince Mitravinda's father that I don't really need to do that, but the king was saying, well, better to set the example. So he expanded himself in 7 forms and very quickly controlled the bulls. Then the pastime of Narakasura or Bhaumasura, he kidnapped princesses from all over the kingdom and held them captive. And after Krishna and Satyabhama came and destroyed the whole Bhaumasura treacherous activities of causing so much trouble to all the princesses, they, after being freed, they just stood there and said, Krishna, now you have to take care of us because no one will have us. So Krishna immediately made arrangements to marry each and every princess, 16,000. Not only that, but he gave them a palace of their own. And the palaces were made of jewels, gold, pearls, ivory, just glowing in effulgence. When Narada Muni went to Dwarka to see what is Krishna doing there, I'm curious, great sage. So first he went to where Krishna was with Rukmini Devi. And Krishna got up from the bedstead and welcomed Narada Muni, although he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narada Muni being a great sage, but to set the example, please, you sit down in my chair. And he washed his feet and put the water on his head and his family. And although Narada Muni naturally would feel like, how can the Supreme Lord do that? Please, no. But he accepted somehow because Krishna came to set the example, show the example. And Narada Muni was so curious that he went to each and every palace. And then he went to the next palace, and Krishna acted like he didn't just see him at the palace of Rukmini. Again, he treated him with great proper behavior, how to take care of a sadhu, how to take care of brahmanas, how to take care of advanced devotees. So Krishna is exhibiting this power, able to not only be the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but also play the role to show us how to perfect our lives, because most everyone's in household life. So he's performing activities of sacrifices to the yajna, or hearing Mahabharata, and hearing different pastimes of the Lord, and performing sacrifices and different rituals, because everyone in this material world needs guidance. Chatur-varnyang maya srishtam guna karma vibhagasha. So Krishna not only provides this material world with all the various ingredients for us to try to become happy, but dukhaliyam ashashvatam. He tells in Bhagavad Gita, this material world is a temporary place full of misery. From the highest planet down to the lowest planet are places of misery and suffering. But you can become happy. Rise, Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nisragunyo Bhavarjuna. He's telling Arjuna, you come above the modes of nature. Everyone is influenced by ignorance, tamaguna, intoxication, laziness, sleep, easily irritated and always fighting, or passion, working very hard to create a kingdom, to get a reputation, to have many followers, great wealth. If one has uncontrolled lust, passion, all the wealth in the whole universe could not satisfy him. It's because they have 1 million, they want 1 billion, they have 1 billion, they want 1 trillion, and they think but there's no happiness, like putting butter or ghee in the fire. It may go down slightly, but then comes back blazing even more. So there's no hope. There's no one who can give us liberation. No one can free us from the cycle of birth and death other than Krishna. And Krishna is guiding each and every person according to his desire. He's reciprocating with us as we reciprocate with him. Just like the queens of Krishna or the gopis of Krishna, They have loving, joking, personal relationships. It's not that God is just some impersonal old man in the clouds, benedicting and condemning everybody. Krishna is a person, the most beautiful person. And we have a relationship. It was amazing, I was reading how Krishna, within every queen, 10 sons. And they had 10. So it was millions, over a billion. So we can't try to imagine, how is it, all these fantastic numbers, even some dowries from some kings, incredible. And the wealth and opulence that you think, oh, we have such miserly understanding because of Kali Yuga. You see a little trinket of gold or silver, you think, oh, it's so... But they were giving, when King Nriga was giving cows in charity, he was the emperor of the world, they had golden necklaces and pearls and the gold on their horns and silver all around their plates of shoes, and so much opulence was there. But this is not the goal of life, to become, but even though he gave so much in charity and performed many, many auspicious activities due to the one misfortune, due to nature or providence arrangement, that one calf or cow was given to one Brahmana, came back to his where all the other cows were, and he gave it away again, and the Brahmanas were fighting, even though he offered them 100,000 cows each for that mistake, but somehow or other they were attached, but like I said, by nature. So when King Nriga passed away, Yamaraj said, so you want to have enjoy your pious activities, which may be unlimited. Frankly, you can get so much opulence because of your charitable welfare activity and also being respectful of brahmanas and having that sort of mindset. So Nriga chose to take his impious activities, meaning to not properly treat a brahmana. The lesson was that if one takes the property and or mistreats a devotee, there's a severe punishment for that. We may not see how the hand or the laws of nature are working, and people are very quick to dismiss that God exists and or there's a heaven or hell, that this one life is everything and we're free and independent to do as we like, just as Krishna is Swarat. He's independent. We like to be independent. No one should tell me what to do. I can do whatever I like. But King Nriga was also suffered as a lizard, but also liberated by Lord Krishna personally. So he achieved benediction. So the pastimes which are being given to us in the Srimad Bhagavatam, this Amala Purana, although there are many, many Vedic literatures for achieving different goals in life, to have a happy family, to become wealthy, to become strong, to have many children, many followers. There's everything available. But the Srimad Bhagavatam specifically speaks about the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and how we can break the illusion of this material existence. How we can break the false conception of I and mine, that this is my family, my nationality, my religion, isn't it? So the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, in this particular pastime was showing all his opulence, all his mystic potency. And although Brahma was bewildered, Brahma Mohana Leela, he was bewildered by Krishna's potency, but then Krishna also revealed the curtain, just like when the curtain is pulled across, we see the beauty of the deities, we see their brilliance and their shining effulgence. So Lord Brahma was blessed also by Krishna, because Krishna and Balaram are like on a theatrical stage. Krishna knows everything, but he plays the role to set the example for us how we should behave in this world. That as a small child, he went to the Gurukula. Balaram and Krishna went to Gurukula, not that they had to learn anything from Sandipani Muni, but to show the example. And they did their studies quite well, and they gave a reward to their teacher. And all along, as Krishna is reciprocating and engaged in loving relations with his devotees, although it says that the gopis suffered tremendously because Krishna left them and went off to Mathura, then Dwaraka, and so many places. But that remembrance of Krishna in itself was very, very satisfying. And Krishna never leaves Vrindavan. Krishna is present simply by remembering him. And of all austerities that are being performed, we think, well, how we can do all these yagyas and sacrificial ceremonies and rituals and mantras. Krishna makes it very, very easy for us. Kali Kalir Dharma Krishna Nam Sankirtan, that the Dharma, the religion for this age, all the time, but especially for this age because we're not competent, we don't have the necessary ingredients to perform the big yagyas, we don't have the qualified brahmanas to perform the yagyas. So Krishna showed us by appearing as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that Krishna Varnam Tusha Krishnam Sangopangastra Parshadam Jagnai Sankirtan Prayar Yajantihi Samedasaha. Everyone's performing sacrifice. In family matters, the man performs sacrifice, has to work hard, day and night. Isn't working like a dog. So much so, sometimes the foam comes to the mouth, they're exhausted, always thinking, I need to provide more and more for my family. But you have so much, but then my children, my grandchildren, my legacy, I have to make a mark in my existence in the material world. So people, like the donkey, the ass, there's grass everywhere, but he thinks, oh, my master, after I'm carrying these loads of bricks on their backs and laundry on their backs, all day long they're carrying heavy, heavy loads. At the end, he gives a little grass, which is available everywhere. So we're thinking that I'll be happy because I have the intelligence and ability to be better than others, and I want to make like Ravana had a great kingdom, all gold and so much opulence, but because of disrespecting the Supreme Lord, his whole kingdom, everything was destroyed. So everything is taken. We come into this world with anything? Anybody came into this world with anything? We come into the world naked and with nothing, no possessions. Then we start artificially thinking, this is mine, okay, that's mine, not yours, that's mine. So we're all starting to hoard our little possessions and thinking we'll be happy. Of course, we all take our quota, we survive, we have to take care of the family, we have to also, even if we are on a transcendental platform, act according to social etiquette and or religious duties. We all have duties to perform. Krishna performed his duties. He wanted to show the example. And also, the Paundraka, he sent a letter. He was actually a great warrior and a powerful king, but he was imitating Krishna, that like he had 4 arms and the Kaustuba jewel and the Srivatsa. So he threatened Krishna. He said, you surrender to me, otherwise we'll fight in battle and I'll send you off to the hellish planets or something. So and everybody was laughing hysterically at this Paundraka. And this is how people are. They're thinking that they're given some brain power, great scientist or philosopher, that I can imitate. Or there's many people who think that I am God. I mean, I was in the airport in Miami, maybe in the late 70s. We meet many people, and I had one young man, his eyes were very buggy, and he said, I am God. I said, you are God. and people actually believe, due to insanity, that they are also the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this Paundraka, he challenged Krishna, Of course, Krishna just sent his Sudarshan chakra and cut his head and took care of that business. So Krishna, it appears as though he had so many battles, even for Satyabhama, when he took her personally, and he battled this Narakasura, Bhaumasura, and on the way back, he returned to the heavenly planets, the earrings for Aditi, and also gave Indra. But then he gave one parijata flower to Rukmini, and Satyabhama was very much feeling the competition that, hey, she got a flower, I want a flower too. But Krishna said, I'll give you a whole tree, what's the problem? So when Satyabhama, when they were leaving the heavenly planets, she wanted her flower. So Krishna said, yeah, take the whole tree. So he took the whole tree. And then Indra and all the demigods wanted to fight with Krishna. They got into this big battle. And you're thinking, how is it the demigods, they're like surrendered, they're godly. But there are many, many deep understandings to be had from all these various activities of Krishna. And when he was fighting with Banasura, Lord Shiva was protecting Banasura, and he was the grandson of Prahlad, Bali Maharaja's son, Banasura. And Krishna, not that he was going to kill him, but Lord Shiva personally came to fight, and you could see all the different activities taking place on a higher level. We don't know just from the earthly planet of some battles or some wars, but throughout history there's battle with the demigods and the demons constantly going on. So whether one is in a higher planetary system, lower planetary system, all these places are temporary. It's not that, oh, I've achieved heaven and I have all the delights of heavenly delights, I've achieved perfection. This is not perfection. Real perfection is to be eager to hear about Krishna's holy name and his pastimes, and not that we imitate, but by hearing the Bhagavatam and by hearing the holy name, it cleanses the heart so that there's complete transparency. We can awaken our original God consciousness, and this Maya will disperse. In Yoga Maya, Krishna's spiritual divine potency will guide us back home, back to the spiritual kingdom. And there's, as Mother Divya Shakti was saying yesterday about the Krishna book, the potency of Krishna book, that we're hearing so many beautiful pastimes, but it's laden with so many prayers by Lord Shiva, by the Shiva Dvara, by the various demigods. And these prayers are glorifying the Supreme Lord and his power, his vibhuti. And we don't have to come up with our own concocted ideas. When you're hearing the prayers of Bhagavatam, you can also try to resonate with that we're praying to Krishna, calling out Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. What is the need of repeatedly chanting? Because it's a cleansing process that the more and more we can chant Krishna's name and hear about Krishna and remember the pastimes of Krishna, the more we'll be attracted and to go back home to the spiritual kingdom and serve Krishna and not remain in this temporary material world, which is simply an illusion. Very difficult to control the mind and senses. But Krishna says by constant practice and detachment, so that means constant practice means the chanting, that we're calling out to Krishna. Because we may think, well, one holy name is enough to save a jamul, maybe that should... But the purity, the sincerity of purpose, it's like reuniting with our Father going back home to the spiritual world. Just like when Srila Prabhupada, in his poem, when arriving in New York, was remembering the cowherd boys and playing in the pasturing grounds of Vrindavan. When the description of Vrindavan is there, the beautiful flowers, the bees and birds chirping, the beautiful Jamuna, and all the scenery that the cowherd boys, when they found that beautiful spot on the sand, soft sands, the Raman Reti, and the crystal clear water of Jamuna. You see, all this industry and modern technology have spoiled everything. Srila Prabhupada was remarking how all the rivers in Europe are polluted, in America, and many, I'm sure, in India. And what is the benefit of so much industry? Well, we have a lot of nuts and bolts and machinery, but is anyone any happier now that they have iPhone 13 or 14? And it's just like this advertising and all the different allurements of this world are simply by the demonic nature of lording it over, exploiting Mother Nature. They're taking all the oil out of, and just everything's based on money, intoxication, and try to enjoy the temporary body. When Krishna was speaking to Rukmini, he wanted to have some fun, because Rukmini, although there's many, many servants, beautiful, but the servants are also having necklaces of pearls and gold and beautiful saris, and the men servants too, they have their turbans, but they're doing the basic household duties, not like we envision a slave, just slaving around. But everyone had their duties. But Rukmini was personally fanning Krishna, and they personally, in a loving way, take care of him, because each queen was thinking, Krishna's just with me, he never leaves me. And Krishna sensed a little pride in Rukmini, that she was feeling the topmost queen. And so he thought he wants to see her get a little angry and tell her, you had such a choice of so many other kings or princesses who are much more qualified. I'm just from a cowherd. No one knows if I'm a Brahmin, Kshatriya. He gave so many examples of that. You'd be better off to be with one of those, more powerful kings. And then it was very elaborately explained. And he thought she would just, retaliate by saying also something back to him, oh, Krishna, you're nonsense, or something like that. But she just took it so seriously that she just completely, her mind froze and fell down. And so Krishna was feeling very bad. And then Rukmini, after she understood that Krishna was just joking, and he showed her love and attention, and he's a personal, loving person with smiles and jokes. And she was exclaiming, he goes, what woman would want to, marry somebody with a mustache and beard, or that has a bag of bones and, foul smelling, and, what's the material body made of, isn't it? Veins, guts, blood, and stool, urine, and, decorate with a mustache and beard and hair on the head, whatever. Some people have hair. But in Krishna, he's Satchidananda Vigraha, eternal, ever-existing, and beautiful. But Krishna didn't. Sometimes when the gopis are feeling proud, oh, Krishna's just with us, then Krishna would go away. And then again, come back and relieve all their anxiety. So the lesson is, we should not be proud. Shanadapi sanichena tarorapi sahishnana amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. That we should be tolerant. We should learn to be humble. It's easier said than done, because everyone has their own evaluation of their self-worth, that I'm this or I'm that. And nobody likes to be overly submissive, that people will take advantage. But this humility was shown by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by the Goswamis. They were very wealthy, from good families, high positions, anything and everything that people strive for. They completely rejected it and just simply lived a life of simplicity, absorbed in hearing and chanting about Krishna and Krishna's pastimes. And is described, the perfection of life is now that as one gets older, doesn't matter. Prahlad Maharaj says from the very beginning, but at least when you're 50, isn't it? You're supposed to take like more seriously Vanaprastha. And the best place is where? In Vrindavan Dham. And so if we're here in Vrindavan hearing about Krishna and his loving relationships with his devotees and about being humble and attached to the holy name of the Lord, so make that endeavor. Structure your day in such a way that I want to get up early. Krishna says that just by seeing the deities during the arti, that's in your eternal benefit. Isn't it? Imagine for those dressing the deities or bathing the deities or cooking for the deities, or those chanting the glories of the deities, or sitting and hearing about Krishna's glories in front of the deities. Krishna's present everywhere, but he's also specifically present in his archa vigraha, murti, to give us an opportunity to personally develop again that relationship which we have forgotten. It's not impersonal, it's a personal relationship. So this is the Bhagavatam. It's talking about Krishna, glorifying Krishna and the pure devotees who are expansions of Krishna. Srimati Radharani Hladini, potency is an expansion of Krishna. It's Krishna, but they have their individuality, but they take different roles. Balaram, when he, they sometimes they act according to social etiquette, but then they exhibit their power, and those who are fortunate will surrender to Krishna and spend their energy and time to develop their Krishna consciousness. So let's chant. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Chant and be happy, huh? And then Krishna will reveal everything within the heart. So I have my little microphone messenger here. Anyone have a question, comment? There's a question in the middle. Put your hand up again. There you go.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much for the wonderful class. So the incident or the pastimes of Govardhan Lila that happened before Krishna and Satyabhama visited the Swargaloka, where parītāḥ got freed, that incident where Indra again challenged Krishna. So I was just wondering, this very short amount of time and how can he?
Yeah.
What is the understanding behind that?
Well, Indra, as king of heaven, just like Brahma, as the creator of this universe, he started thinking, I have some power, I have some Shakti. So with great opulence and great power comes the bewilderment of Maya. So although Indra, on many occasions, like just like you said, Govardhan Leela, he thought, I'll show Krishna and all the residents and try to kill them. But then we have to see that Krishna, he exhibits his mystic potency and covering because Indra is the king of heaven, and naturally he has many godly qualities, but also as a ruling in charge of all the demigods, in charge of the heavens, and so much power is given that naturally the pride comes. So Krishna repeatedly has to, it's not just one time, oh, I learned my lesson. Criminals, they go to prison, they suffer, they got to come out, and you think, well, that's criminals, but what about Indra? He's also jiva, living entity with powers given by God due to pious activities and or austerities. So it seems like this Maya bewildering agency, it never lets up. We always have to be on guard to stay humble. We always have to be on guard to take shelter of the pure devotee and Krishna. So that means if we think I'm okay now, then again Maya gives us a good slap. So Indra happened to many times exhibit his foolishness, but Krishna was very merciful by giving chastisement and allowing to continue his services. I'm sure there's many explanations, but that's one. Any other question? Yes, Prabhu.
You were giving the example of Lord Viṣṇu and Narada came to his house and worshipped him with worship and so should we learn from that way and we should practice or just we see the pastime of the Lord?
Say that last part. The last.
We should practice as Krishna practice. Every devotee coming in our house, we should worship him as like Lord worship.
Yes, just like when the spiritual master comes any place, the disciples naturally want to, they sing, they offer flowers, they bathe they wash the feet and sprinkle the water. So all devotees should be respected and honored, obviously, but we give special recognition to those who are recognized servants of the Lord. So the more we can be in that mood that Krishna is exhibited by honoring Narada Muni and great sages and pure devotees and brahmanas, Krishna's Go Brahmanya Devaya, Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha, that he's very much inclined to the Brahmana. But what is the Brahmana? Truthfulness, cleanliness, austerity, purity. So it's not that we want to start judging everybody. Do you fit all the qualities? Okay, I'll wash your feet now. No, obviously there's a interpersonal relationship required. Just by being humble, and if you're feeling ecstatic that a nice devotee has visited your house, and then you should do as much as you can according to the Vaishnava etiquette. Yes, bathe those feet and sprinkle the water. Mataji? The microphone? Oh. Okay, you then, Mataji. Go ahead. Go ahead. Ladies first. What are you going to do? Listen, you got to follow social etiquette.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for the wonderful class. You said that these devotees who are with Krishna in his pastimes, they perform a lot of pious activities for millions of lifetimes. So can you, these pious activities is bhakti, right?
Yes. Just like in the Dandakaranya forest, when Lord Ramachandra was there, the sages, they wanted to be with Lord Rama. He said, but by performing their duties according to the guidance of the pure devotee, sadhu, shastra, guru, these pious activities, whether it's sacrifice, it's performing yagyas, or performing different other rituals according to the time, then this is a cleansing process that ultimately will bring us to associate with the Lord. Because if in this lifetime you're fixed in your hearing, chanting, following the orders of your Guru Maharaj, and upon leaving this body, you will also enter the Leela of Krishna somewhere. Krishna's Nitya Leela is happening in, like there's unlimited universes, like the little mustard seeds in a bag. There's unlimited universes, and Krishna's constantly appearing. So while we're in this material, unlimited universes, and we've achieved that status of punya, of great performing the proper rules and regulations under the guidance of the authorized guru and sadhu shastra guru, then we also can enter that leela, and from that leela go back to the Goloka Vrindavan, Vaikuntha Dham, depending on our relationship and inclination to serve and love Krishna. Like that. Yes, Prabhuji, you wanted to say? Yeah, it's coming back to you now.
Hare Krishna. By practicing bhakti, every devotee is trying to overcome the aparadhas. And basically, one question occurred in my mind while the thing is that we do Guru Puja, and after that, we do the parikrama of the temple with Prabhupada. All the devotees just go together. And what happened now, due to too much crowd, sometimes our feet touches each other's feet. So, will that also be considered as a Vaishnava aparadh, or is it forgivable?
Very good question. Yes, I mean, obviously, it may not be intentional. Our feet may touch the feet of other Vaishnavas and under normal circumstances, but we're all chanting together, glorifying the Lord. Even that one elderly Mataji, to see Lord Jagannath climb on top of Lord Chaitanya, naturally that'd be offensive, and they were chastising. But Lord Chaitanya appreciated her enthusiasm. I mean, just like when we're cooking, so many germs are killed, we're walking on the street, ants and insects and bugs, and so every householder has to perform yajnas to be freed from sinful activities, what to speak of, like you said, maybe offending Vaishnavas. But if it's not an intentional, and our basic focus, our meditation is to chant and glorify the holy name with Srila Prabhupada, so those kind of irregularities of maybe touching somebody's feet like that, not intentionally, you go kicking somebody, like, hey, get out of my way, So we should do everything very consciously and mindfully. And Krishna says, Sarva dharma parityajya mamekang shranam vrajam aham tvam sarvapapyabhyo mokshayashyami masachaha. Abandon all varieties of religion, rituals, and different ideas and speculations, and whatever sinful activities are there, Krishna will cleanse you because He's the Supreme, He can do that. And Srila Prabhupada is his emissary, He's His representative. So everyone should hear from Prabhupada, read Prabhupada's books, and pray to Srila Prabhupada to give us his blessings. That's the only reason to hang out with Shrutakirti Prabhu. He got so much nectar from Srila Prabhupada's lotus feet, so we should also associate with the devotees in a very positive way to hear and remember Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki